A common sense recap of the day's biggest stories. It's John Catsimatidis and Rita Cosby. Katz and Cosby on 77 WABC.
Actually, we have Hank Sheinkopf right now.
Let's take him then.
Yep.
Let's find out what's going on with those primaries.
Exactly. Boy, huge primaries today. The great political consultant and expert, Hank Sheinkopf, of course, who's handled so many great big races through the years. Hank, we love having you here. Your thoughts, first off, on Jamaal Bowman's race. What do you think is going to happen with Jamaal Bowman and Latimer?
Well, first, I'm very grateful to be on the show. I heard a little bit of Governor Cuomo. We're lucky to have him around and saying the things that matter. As today's campaigns, Jamaal Bowman's going to lose. This is kind of an inflicted suicide in public. He was elected because he took on former Congressman Eliot Engel and said he didn't do community service, didn't do based activities. The end result is the decided to become a congressman obsessed with international affairs, notably blaming Israel for all things, including the original plagues. And the result is that he's going to lose badly.
Hey, I mean, when you look up in the dictionary who pulled the fire alarm, his picture is going to be there.
He pulled the fire alarm. He said publicly that October 7th didn't happen. He publicly proclaimed the greatness of Joanne Chesimard, a.k.a. Asada Shakur, who was a cop killer and there's $1 million bounty on her head for murdering a New Jersey state trooper. We're talking about a guy who just doesn't understand where he's supposed to be, and he's going to lose. But the problem here is this will not stop the left. If anything, my hunch is this will empower them more to organize better because they'll believe the failing was in themselves and the amount of money spent by Jamaal Bowman's rightful opponents.
What did you make, Hank Sheinkopf, of Jamaal Bowman over the weekend? I couldn't believe it. I was like, is that a member of Congress? He was swearing on the stage. I'm sure you saw this in the Bronx, swearing just horrible, vile things about AIPAC, the Jewish group that put a lot of money in Latimer, because, of course, they're offended, like many of us are, at some of his comments. But I have never seen a sitting member of Congress, and a lot of even Democrats came out and condemned it. It was so reprehensible and so, I thought, uncongressional, just undignified.
Unfortunately, he's not the first enemy of Israel that has attacked AIPAC and sworn at Jews. There was another woman, a congresswoman in, I think, Georgia, who was defeated as a function of taking on Israel in a very derogatory way, as Jamaal Bowman has done, and paid the price. You know what this is, frankly, it's not about Israel. It's about Jews. He's a stone-cold Jew hater, and he's like all of them, he hides it behind talking about AIPAC. And he's angry that he's going to lose his seat, but he did this to himself, having nothing to do with Israel, but having everything to do with a fire alarm, and not focusing on constituent services, somebody that his voters, frankly, did not elect in the first case.
Craig Eaton.
Hank, it's interesting that you say it's going to empower the far left. I was thinking that it may send a message that the far left needs to be worried now because people are waking up and realizing that they are too far left. I mean, I think AOC went out the other day, was unhinged on that stage.
Unless we begin, Craig, and I hope you and your family are very well, unless we begin to start telling the truth, because the far left's agenda using Israel and non-progressives as a target is the destruction of this country. Make no mistake, and the destruction of our system. They want to be sure that elections don't occur because they want to make sure that they get elected. They want to make sure they want people around things that they have no idea what they're doing. I mean, I met one of the DSA elected members at a function a few weeks ago, and I asked him, I'll take out the colorful language. I said, I see you're a tough guy. How many people did you ever organize for a union? I said, I worked for the Teamsters Union. I said, what did you ever do to make the world better besides complain or say it's okay to beat up a few weak Jews in Brooklyn? I said, pick on this Jew and see what happens.
Wow. Hank, bravo to you. Here is Judge Weinberg.
Good to talk to you, Hank. Let me ask you this question. Have you been following the race for the Albany DA upstate? David Soros has been fighting the fight for public safety and law and order, and the left has gone after him. What are your comments on that?
Listen, bail reform, raise the age. The impacts of raise the age are pretty significant. Probably is the number of assaults going on in juvenile facilities that have been set up now that you can't prosecute people for felonies for assaulting caseworkers and others in facilities. We have schools in New York City that are being used where children under the age of 18 are being used as gun mules and drug mules because they can't be charged with felonies at those ages. It's a very bad system. Soros understands also discovery laws that were put into place by the legislature make it nearly impossible to put certain people who ought to be in prison into prison. So if he loses, it will be a clear signal that we've lost the battle to take back our streets. And you know what? We might as well tell all the people dressed in blue and brown and sheriffs and police departments throughout the state that they should find other employment, so they're not going to be able to do much.
Wow, what a powerful and what a sad message that would send. You know, Hank, what about on the national level too? What do you think both Biden should do and Trump should do with the debates? Because the debate's coming up on Thursday. It's going to be an enormous listening and viewing audience.
The strongest issue that Biden has going for him is the economy, which frankly has improved. We lead the world in economic performance post-COVID. Trump has to somehow take that away from Biden, and Biden has to somehow make Trump what's the good word? An impossible person for anybody to vote for based upon Trump's behavior and upon his conviction. Whether one likes the case or not, he was convicted by a jury of his peers. That being said, those are the ways they've got to both proceed.
No,
yeah, they're both. It's going to be terrible.
Well, here's the other. That's what I was about to say. It's going to go tit for tat because if you're Trump, you're going to go, well, let's talk about your son Hunter. You know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what I say? It's like being convicted by the judge in My Cousin Vinny movie.
That was a good movie.
John, that may be the case. But what the polling data shows is that a conviction of any kind would be hurtful to Trump among what do they call them? Non-ID voters, i.e. non-registrants for particular parties.
Yeah.
The blanks, the independents. That's the issue here. Trump's got to protect himself. I mean, look, he's not a runaway winner, nor is Biden. And Biden's in a better position for one reason. He is two reasons. He is the president of the United States. One, the most powerful person on the planet. And secondarily, the economy has improved. It's just the way it is.
Well, Hank Sheinkopf, thank you for coming on, and maybe we'll talk to you tomorrow after the results are in.
John, it's always a pleasure. Rita, everybody else, Greg, Judge, have a great night.
Thank you, Hank. Great to have you.
Best, Hank. Thank you.